Happy Sunday, guys. Welcome to a brand new video. I actually was suggested to do this by a comment, and I thought it would be really fun. And if you can't see based on the title here, we're going to be reacting to the rise and fall of Jump Force. I don't really know what to expect. I'm assuming he's just going to talk about how Jump Force was a bad game, and that's how it fell. And I guess I'm going to give my input at certain spots. I've never really done one of these before, but let's go ahead and try it out. So we'll see. Let's go. I'm excited. I don't know what to expect.
The fighting game genre contains multitudes. There are 2D fighters, 3D fighters, team fighters, anime fighters, platform fighters. The list goes on. One of the most overlooked subgenres in the FGC, at least at a competitive level, is the arena fighter. Games like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm and Dragon Ball Xenoverse were fun to play at parties or with friends, but have never been taken seriously in competitive circles. Pokken Tournament, released in 2015, was the closest we've come to seeing an arena fighter go mainstream.
And the only reason is because it's Pokemon. This was an actual good game. I played this game. I thought it was awesome. I used to watch it competitively. It just doesn't get the hype from the players, man. And I don't know why. It's just everyone has something secretly against arena fighters. I don't know what it is.
And since then, nothing else has quite made the cut. But what if a developer were to take a page out of Super Smash Bros. Book to try and create the greatest crossover event in anime history? Seriously, the idea is almost too good to be true. Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Bleach, Yu-Gi-Oh! And is that a JoJo reference? It seemed too perfect to but somehow, fail it did. This is the story of one of the biggest flops in fighting game history.
I'm sorry, biggest flops? Are you not aware of One Punch Man? I mean, we all knew it was going to be a flop. I understand what he's basically saying. This was supposed to be great, but, you know, it flopped. Whereas One Punch Man, we knew it was going to be trash, and then it flopped.
This is Jump Force.
Okay.
Jump Force is a 3v3 arena fighter developed by Spike Chunsoft, the company behind series like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and the first 5 Dragon Quest games. The studio also has a history of working with Shonen Jump characters, having developed J-Star's Victory VS, another anime crossover fighter, and One Piece Burning Blood. Like their previous titles, Jump Force fits into the arena fighting genre. While the gameplay of arena fighters has never really appealed to the hardcore fighting game scene, as characters were often unbalanced and the controls tended to be too simple, the initial hype for Jump Force was palpable. I mean, the prospect of having Ichigo going toe-to-toe with Vegeta is enough to get any anime fan excited. While the hype grew and more characters were revealed, there were some concerns about where the game was headed. While it was amazing to watch Goku, Naruto, and Luffy beat down on Frieza, there were a lot of comments lamenting the game's aesthetic, as well as the game's animations looking clunky and unpolished.
I will say that if at any point they showed trailers based on Xbox's gameplay, because I remember it was initially released and it was the Xbox logo behind it, that ran so crappy on Xbox that it was so slow. And you can tell with that Ichigo Vegeta fight compared to the Deku, like this and Naruto right here, look how slow this is. You know, if you play on PS4 or PS5, this is so much better. It's insane. Look how slow it is. Frames terrible. And then you look at Deku, that was PS4 gameplay. You can't tell me differently.
Where the game was headed. While it was amazing to watch Goku, Naruto, and Luffy beat down on Frieza, there were a lot of comments lamenting the game's aesthetic, as well as the game's animation.
Disappointing story. True. But who buys a fighting game for the story besides Storm? Storm was awesome. Like, it's just, yeah. Who does that?
Looking clunky and unpolished.
Unfortunate art style.
Most brushed it off at the time and chalked it up to the game still being a work in progress, holding on to hope that the developers would somehow fix these down the road. Unfortunately, when the game released on February 14th, 2018, the developers did not fix those problems, and, as the public would soon discover, they also left a lot of other problems in the game as well. The first big issue that was immediately apparent was the design of the characters. On release, the game had 40 playable characters from 16 different series. Unfortunately, Some of these characters evolved a lot throughout their respective shows and mangas, developing powers and abilities that they didn't necessarily have when their show first started. What this led to was Jump Force being a breeding ground for spoilers, with some characters' movesets featuring attacks from deep into the respective series.
Okay, I've heard of this. Personally, I didn't really care. I understand. I brought my friend over one time, and I was showing him Renji's move, and he was like, "Whoa, turn away, bro! Spoilers!" And I was like, isn't Bleach over? Like, what? Like, hasn't it been done? Like, what do you mean? And I didn't understand One Piece. When he became Bounceman, I'm pretty sure that was way back when. We're way past that now. So I'm very weirded out that people complain about this. And if you buy this game, you generally are either getting into anime or a hardcore fan. And when I bought this game, I was getting into anime, but I have seen all the mainstream, Naruto, One Piece, Hunter, all those stuff, right? So anything I've seen, I guess, wasn't exactly spoiled for me. But as someone who hasn't watched Bleach, Ichigo's thing didn't really, it wasn't really a huge spoiler. I was like, oh, damn, that's cool, he transformed, right? Or Asta's thing was immensely a spoiler. But it wasn't it's not a huge thing in my eyes. I get how that could be an issue for some people. Because I remember specifically, I was like, when I was watching Black Clover, I was like, oh, shoot, this is where Asta gets his wings in the show. And it happened, I want to say a month or two after Jump Force. So I understand where people are coming from that. But to me, not the biggest deal in the world. If it was story spoilers, not power spoilers, right? But because you can make the argument oh, what the frick, Goku can transform to blue? Frieza has a golden form?
For example, in One Piece chapter 796, it's revealed that... Sorry about that. My bad. In order to avoid any spoilers at all, you would have to watch more than 3,000 episodes of anime. For some of you, that's just an average Wednesday. But for most, that was a pretty tall order. On top of this, even with some of the most iconic anime characters in history, the game lacked a single-player story that was exciting or even remotely interesting. The plot of the story mode is simple. New York City is attacked, and during the battle, you're killed. Then, you're revived by Trunks from Dragon Ball. After the battle, you're invited to join the Jump Force to help fight against evil-hearted humans turned into creatures called Venoms. From there, you're able to join one of three squads, led by either Luffy, Goku, or Naruto. Overall, the story missions revolve around finding other heroes to recruit to the Jump Force, and then finding bad guys to fight.
Now, if you actually think of this from a game perspective, the story outline when you hear it is actually very good. The thing I will say is I'm not a fan of the CACs in this game, but the story of you having to go around different worlds and collect these heroes to come together and fight a giant force of evil is great. It's exciting. But let's continue.
With so many iconic characters to choose from, it's unfortunate that most of them got barely any screen time. Fan favorites like Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure only appear for a brief moment in the game, and others felt like they were just pigeonholed in for no real reason. To make matters worse, one of the most fleshed out characters in the game is Light Yagami from Death Note, but he isn't even playable as a character. That's right, one of the most iconic anime characters of all time isn't even playable in...
See, what's interesting is I didn't watch Death Note before I bought this game, so I had to watch it after, and I was so confused why he was so famous, and now I of course know. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed when, I wouldn't say I was disappointed that he wasn't playable, I was disappointed that he was shown at the end of the story mode, and then they did nothing with it. So I was like,
it's ridiculous. The gameplay was also unbelievably repetitive. You fight some enemies, then find a new teammate. Then fight more enemies, and fight a boss.
Sorry for stopping, but this was the issue with the story after that, right? The outline sounded cool, but because it's a fighting game and not a story RPG, you're just essentially doing the same thing over and over and over again. You can make that argument for any fighting game. The only difference is other fighting games have way better cutscenes and story in those cutscenes that make it actually fun and exciting to go to the next level and just fight the same person or a different person over and over again, right? So
rinse and repeat. When you take all of this, the constant loading screens between cutscenes, and the poorly written story, Jump Force's single-player mode felt like a really, really last-second addition. So the single-player sucks. That's not why most people play fighting games. So what about the multiplayer? Well, on a basic, fundamental level, Jump Force has issues. Like most anime arena fighters, Jump Force lacks two things: depth and character balance. The game lacks depth in the sense that it's just really easy. No command.
Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. This is where I think everyone starts to misunderstand, I guess. When we started out at just Jump Force, playing Jump Force, the game was easy. We pressed heavy, we pressed light, we pressed super. The standard combo was just lights, 3 heavies, and then going into your super, and then maybe going into another super, right? I remember someone pointing out to me that Cell could do his perfect flash, the fire, after he did his perfect attack. And to me, that was like, holy crap, or like, what the frick? And then later on, when I'm pretty sure I was the first one, I'm not trying to take credit, but I was the first one to do the flash step. And I was like, what the hell is this? I probably wasn't the first one, but I remember on stream in this moment, I was like, I pressed light and I pressed X because I wanted to jump, and I flash stepped, which is like the vanish step. And I was like, what the hell did I just do? And then I also did the instant transmission, which is the perfect attack where you hold square perfectly and then you teleport, right? So I don't think people stayed long enough to figure out that there were actually way more harder mechanics and tech in the game that made it hard to play at a higher level. That's where I think people just kind of gave up in the beginning and just left. But let's see if he says anything about that.
Button
I'm
spamming
curious.
is a legitimate technique, and the characters are completely unbalanced to the point where most of the cast is unviable.
Okay, hold up, wait. Do we want to look at this tier list, bro? Hold up, bro. What is this tier list? My man's got Frieza in E, Cell in D, Renji Dragon in D, Boruto in D, Boruto. Okay. Okay, this has to be just fake. This has to be just like randomly put out, because there's no way you have Goku in C, Toguro in C, Sasuke in B, Luffy in B. There's no way, bro. There's no way. I agree with the S characters besides Killua, since he was nerfed. He goes down to like B or A. Why is Gon an A? What? What is this tier list? I'm gonna chalk it up to this is just randomly put on just to look at.
While there
stuff.
were occasional balance patches, most updates were focused on fixing bugs rather than fixing characters.
True.
As a result, the developers left a lot of mechanics in the game that were just straight up broken. An example of this is guard breaks. A guard break is performed when a character holds a light or heavy attack, or in some cases, use a special, which is also a guard break. This alternate attack will break through blocks and set up for combos, deterring opponents from relying too heavily on blocking. However, in Jump Force, it ended up being pretty abusable, as players found many ways to set up for unreactable guard break cheese combos. If the developers really
He said it, he's a guard break cheese, hey! But you can't get around it. You can vanish and actually be good. However, I'm not a fan of it, so I don't like
cared
it.
about the game, this could all be easily patched out. Unfortunately, they don't, and it hasn't been. And this isn't even to mention that
I will say, I don't think he should say, and I probably have said this myself, so I'm gonna call myself out. I don't think you can say you can easily take it out of the game. One, I think we gotta accept that guard break cheese in R3 is meant to be in there, right? So at this point, the game's dying. I don't care, use it, but you can clearly see it's more fun to fight without it. But I think it's not fair to say you can easily take it out. There's got to be a reason that they can't do it. And if there isn't a reason they can easily just do that, then, I rest my case. But for me personally, I know nothing about how to do anything like that.
a few of the characters in the game remain grossly unbalanced and abusable. Luckily, since Jump Force had such a huge roster, eventually growing to 57 characters, there was a large enough variety of characters online that you weren't constantly getting pummeled by top tiers. Still,
I don't know about that, bro. You go to A tier Toguro Sasuke.
The online experience wasn't great, especially since ability spamming was an easy and rewarding way to play.
Okay, so this is where I also have an issue. Yes, you can spam abilities, and some characters' abilities are more... and I'm sorry if you're annoyed for me pausing this, but I think that's how React channels work. Certain abilities spammable, I'll take Luffy Red Hawk for example, is annoying because you can't vanish or there's no way around it. You can try and jump and run, but a lot of times it catches you. But other stuff, people used to complain about Goku Kamehameha, Kakashi Shurikens not even being used for guard break cheese, Boruto Shuriken, like certain abilities that I was so astounded that people were annoyed that people were spamming, and I was like, you do know you can just block, and if you don't want to block, you can get a little skill and vanish. Like, I was so confused. And yes, you can make the argument, oh, but if I block, I get guard break cheese. But they weren't getting guard break cheese. The comments I saw were just, it was spamming. And I was like, the only ability I've actually had issues with spamming with, and I do it myself because it's fucking hilarious, is Tencho. Tencho is just so funny to spam, and all you have to do is block. Yes, it's annoying, but just block. He's not plus off of it. He's not plus off the double one. Just block it. It's annoying, yes, but I do it because it's hilarious. People do it to me. It's hilarious, but I still get upset. It's just one of those things. I don't agree with that.
As the player base declined due to all of the issues from the single player to the multiplayer, on November 9th, 2021, Bandai announced in a blog post that Jump Force would be removed from stores and its online services would be taken down in 2022.
Yep.
While this seemed inevitable from the start, the news of the game's removal has evoked some criticism levied at Bandai. While Jump Force was a bad game, some in the community feel that it's still important to preserve its existence, and the complete removal of the game from stores feels like an extreme measure to be taking. Unfortunately, the game is set to be removed on February 7th, and online servers will be taken down on August 24th. So while Jump Force players, new and old, can still enjoy the game for now, the end is fast approaching. It's safe to say that Jump Force never quite got off the ground and ended up being a huge missed opportunity to become the next big crossover fighting game. From the start, Jump Force had all the pieces to become a smash success. The game featured a cast of characters as iconic as any ever assembled. It had a ton of initial hype surrounding it from the second it was revealed, but unfortunately, the game was simply unfinished in pretty much every aspect. And instead of being one of the biggest success...
I want to say is I've watched this guy's channel, Blue Jay. He does a lot of glitches, and it's hilarious. But I like to point out, though, this glitch right here is extremely specific, and he always uses Kenshin. I've never tried to recreate it, but it's always with CAC and the Ultimate from Blackbeard with Kenshin. No one, like, if you manage to, like, perfectly find a game like that, that's, like 1 in 1,000 chance. Yeah, this could happen, but this is a really bad glitch to show. This is just funny. Show the other funny glitches where you can go outside the map, or I don't know. There's a bunch of them.
Every aspect. And
This is
instead
not going to
of
happen
being
online.
one of the biggest success stories in recent years, Jump Force ended up being one of the biggest disappointments of all time. Maybe one day there will be another developer that is given the opportunity to make an anime crossover fighter that can become the next big thing. Jump Force has made it clear that the desire for a good anime collaboration fighter is out there. But until that game is finally released, Jump Force will always feel like one of the biggest what-ifs in gaming history.
Is that it?
This video is made possible
Okay, well done. I think it's spoken from a guy that obviously, I don't know if he plays Jump Force, but I will say the arguments that he's brought up about it being a bad game is very standard, right? We've all heard it. Bad single player game, terrible story, multiplayer is unbalanced and unfair. He didn't at all bring up how it ran on Xbox or PS4, which I'm very surprised, or just like connection in general. So I find it funny about that. He mentioned one about how when they patched stuff, they didn't patch characters. They did patch characters. It was very rare they did so. Cell getting his shield back to 2 bars, or when they did, they gave him 1 bar shield. And if anyone remembers the time where at Mataratsu, when you used it twice, it would guard break you. So if you held guard against his Kagasuchi, you would actually get killed, or it would go through your guard. They patched that like a day later, so I think that's funny. So they clearly were aware of stuff, but I'm not sure what Spike was doing, but it was interesting. I do want to read some comments. Honestly, crossover games make spoilers unavoidable, literally not the game's fault. You can't just do it. Fair enough. Yep. For me, this is interesting too. So I think for me personally is I went into this game and it was technically my first ever arena fighter. I've played Storm before, but I only played it for the story. I was a kid. But for Jump Force, I was going into the game with nothing. I didn't know what to expect. I had no expectation. And so to me, it was fun. I was enjoying it. Now, the funny thing is I started on Xbox. It was slow. It was slow. I came from playing games my whole entire life, and I could tell that this game was super slow. And I was like, what the hell is this? And eventually I switched to PS4 because there was no one in ranked on Xbox I could play with, and I played on PS4. I think it would have been fun for Jump Force to do so, but the way Jump Force works, I just don't think it would have worked as well. You would have to bump the time up like crazy. The games would last forever. Now, it would be awesome. Like, honestly, I would love it because it would just provide more depth in intense fights. And then maybe being R3 wouldn't be so bad because you get rid of one opponent and you got two more you can still use. But the thing is, with how Jump Force works, is I don't think it would have worked very well. But it would have been fun. It would have been fun. Yeah, Kill. See, here's someone that actually, has played arenas. It was, in my opinion, one of the best competitive arena fighters that I've seen. Now, I was still fairly new to this fighting game scene or fighting games in general, so I don't think I can say much on it. But I had a ton of fun with this game. Characters, yes, some were unbalanced, some were unfair, but it was so intense and everything kind of moved really smoothly that it was great, and I really loved it. I think a lot of people, for some reason, totally just don't talk about this. And it's what I feel like actually killed the game more than anything you can tell me, is that the community support trashed on it so hard, unbelievably hard, that everyone just stopped playing. Big YouTubers shat on it, the community made memes and just shat on it, and yeah, that's gonna happen. But the fact that the bigger YouTubers, the people that are making the memes, didn't actually play the game for more than a month and didn't figure out all the actual mechanics of the game and how to play, it just kind of hurts because they're talking about stuff they don't know about. They don't know anything about Jump Force, dude. They played 1 month and said, oh yeah, this game's shit. Like, even me, I'm hypocritical as well. I fell to this. Demon Slayer, when it first came out, I was like, what the hell is this, bro? This is like trash. It's like a whole neutral game. There's no mix. There's nothing there. And even now, I say I would retract that and be like, okay, now that I've played the game for more than 3 months, 4 months, I'm still playing it whenever it released. It's a fun, good game. The issues with it are some characters, yes, are a little unbalanced, connection issues, network issues. Those are the main issues of the game. I think it's very neutral based, but because it's Demon Slayer, they made that game to be Demon Slayer. It's fun. It's just, that's the way the game's supposed to be played, and that's why it's fun. I think people need to stop comparing it with what it should be and just look at it for what it is. There could be some problems with that. You still need to listen to fans. If something's broken, they need to fix it. If something feels a little off, maybe they should change it. I felt to this too. I think Jump Force, if you look at it, it's a great game. And people, he brought it up. It's the guard break cheese. He didn't even mention R3, which makes me understand that he's never really played it, which is fine. But he also didn't go through other channels and found R3 clips, which is so insane to me. So maybe people just don't see that as a problem, taking away your entire health bar in one move in an arena fighter. I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of sickened at the support of Jump Force. And I'm part of that too. I remember when I was like, yo, Spike, like, do something, bro. Like, why are we not getting patches? What's going on? And then I heard from other anime games that some other companies didn't even patch for years, bro. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a step back. I'm used to playing League of Legends, Riot Games, where they have patches every freaking week. And I come from Call of Duty, where patches are thrown in there as well. And so I'm kind of like, I need to not speak out of my ass. I don't know what I'm saying. So yeah, and I think bigger YouTubers and people that just shit on the game and haven't played for more than 2 weeks need to as well. But that will never happen. The game's dead. So we can only hope that the next crossover anime arena fighter, if it's an arena fighter, I would love to have Arc make a 2D fighter with all these characters. It'd be great, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that's a big point we have to make, for me personally, is we need to look at games for what they are and not what they should be. I also find it really funny that some people that say Jump Force is a terrible game, and then I compare it with other games in the same genre, where you would compare it with My Hero One's Justice, or One Punch Man, or Kill la Kill, or Demon Slayer, or Burning Blood, or J-Stars, and I get a lot of people and people that aren't even biased against Jump Force that say Jump Force is a better game. So if Jump Force is such a bad game, like it's such a trash game, what does it make the other games that's better than? Right? Like I don't understand some people when they say stuff like that. Understand, Jump Force, in my opinion, is a fun, good game, and there's stuff wrong with it. I don't think it's a bad game at all. Story mode, terrible, but bad game, it's kind of a stretch, bro. I've played bad games before, man. This ain't one of them. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your opinions down below if you agree with everything he says, if you disagree with what I say, if you agree with what I say, and let me know your own personal opinions. I would love to read it. But yeah, the game is officially, like you said, I think on February 8th, being taken off the market. And then the servers, August, around there, I don't know. But yeah, it's been fun, and I hope that we see another game like this. I hope people don't give Spike, crap for making this game. I think they did a pretty good job for what they were given with. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say, and I'll see you guys later. Have a great Sunday. Bye.